The Utah Jazz have stunned the NBA world. According to reports from across the NBA, the Utah Jazz have acquired Memphis Grizzlies all-star forward Jaren Jackson Jr. I'm David Locke of Locked On Jazz. I want to take a minute with you before we tip off here in Indiana from Gainbridge Fieldhouse and give you some of my thoughts on this one. Hear your thoughts as well. We'll have more on it on tomorrow's Locked On Jazz. Leave Two Leans done a bonus episode for you as well on this. So lots of opportunity for you to get reaction. If you've not already subscribed to Locked On Jazz, the daily podcast on either YouTube or wherever you get your podcast apps, please do so. All right, here's the deal. First off, this is the signaling of the end of the rebuild starting next year. I still think that there's great value to the Jazz to make sure that they're in best draft position they possibly can be at the end of this season. But now we're moving forward. That has been the word the entire time, was after this year, you're moving forward. You've added Jaren Jackson to go with Lauri Markkanen, to go with Ace Bailey, to go with Keyonte George, hopefully to go with Walker Kessler, and you begin to have the pieces of the rebuild taking place. This is how you do a rebuild. The Jazz use pieces that they've acquired throughout the process to be able to go acquire a former defensive player of the year and an all-star. This is a big move by Austin Ainge. This is a big commitment by Ryan and Ashley Smith to try to build the championship team that they've been talking about the whole time. Now, when you start with this, what the Jazz gave up is, and then Walter Clayton Jr., so that's a draft pick that they used from part of the Cleveland and Minnesota deals. Taylor Hendricks, which was their own ninth pick, salary. And then actually George Niang came in the trade exception from John Collins, which was part of one of these moves. And now you use the Laker pick, Mike Conley, that you got from the Mike Conley trade, the Phoenix pick, which was probably the most valuable piece of this puzzle for the Memphis Grizzlies, the 31 unprotected Memphis pick, which was pieced together with the Cleveland and Minnesota picks, and your own 2027 pick. So this is exactly how you do a rebuild. This is, you get all these assets. They've been talking about this for years. It's been frustrating for every Jazz fan, but they've actually just executed on exactly what they said they were going to do the entire time and did it with Jaren Jackson Jr. Now let's talk about Jaren Jackson Jr. On today's edition of Locked On Jazz, as well as on a walk and talk, I talked about the Jazz really had two choices. One was to make the deal now with salaries, or two, to go to the offseason and try to use cap space to get this thing started. And I much preferred if they did it now. When you go try to do it in cap space in the offseason, you could end up empty. And instead, Austin Ainge, using salaries that he has today, still actually has the trade exception available, was able to acquire Jaren Jackson Jr., a player that fits exactly what the Jazz need. He's on their timeline at 26 years old. He's a defensive player. The Jazz needed a defensive wing and big. They got that. He can play both the 5 and the 4. He played 5 to start his career. Then he moved to the 4, where he became much better. And then he kind of moved to the 5 after that, a little bit back and forth this last year, and has been able to do both. So the Jazz acquire him to be able to do both those things. This is a good match. He's an outside shooter. He's a scorer. He scored 20 points a game. He can do it. You now have all the pieces of the puzzle coming together. And one of the things that's problematic with a rebuild is you have so many pieces, you can't work them all. Well, the Jazz just started working, basically minimizing out some of those. Moved off Taylor Hendricks, moved off Walter Clayton Jr., and made the move. What does Jaren Jackson bring? First off, here are the reasons I love this deal. One, it is hard to acquire high elite level talent. If you look at the top 30, top 40 players in the NBA and go through them, it's hard to get any of those guys. It's harder to get a guy that's got, it was under 3 or 4 years worth of control. So the Jazz just acquired Jaren Jackson Jr., and they don't have to worry about, like they would if they sign Giannis, is he going to opt out? Can you get him? Can you have him for a whole year? There's none of those worries. Jaren Jackson is signed all the way through one, and then possibly one more than Lauri signed right now. So you've gotten Jaren Jackson for a long-term deal, and you now have your pieces of your puzzle. You're going to hopefully sign Walker an extension. You're going to extend Keyonte. You now have your 4 pieces of your puzzle, and then you extend Ace. You got your 5 pieces of your puzzle together for a long time here. You may have to adjust off it, adjust the bench use, some of those kind of things, but really In the main part of this, what you've now acquired is guys that all have years on the deal. So 1, getting that elite talent, crazy hard to do. 2, getting someone with years on a deal, crazy hard to do. 3, getting someone who matches what the Jazz need. We're a terrible defensive team. 30th in the NBA defensively. You add a defensive player of the year to couple with Walker, a defensive player of the year who's better when he plays defense at the 4 than as the 5. Makes it even better. And you have all of those pieces of that puzzle. So those are the reasons why this is such a great deal. And then the fourth thing is, I think, the timing. Like, now is the time. You either could do it now or you could wait till the offseason. And I think it was very risky to wait and try to play free agency. Also, when we talk about free agency, we've talked about Austin Reeves, we've talked about Peyton Watson. I think Jaren Jackson Jr. is a better player. Way more expensive. Way more expensive. He's not flawless. Let's not turn him into something he's not. There are some minor things about him that need to get better. He's not a great rebounder. When he plays center, he's actually a poor rebounder. And that's a massive contract. Ryan and Ashley Smith have put a huge money deal out for him. He is a massive contract. He's a 36% three-point shooter, which is good, not deadly. And it's a little awkward looking. But this is a long, big-time defensive player. All right, we'll continue, give some thoughts on what the Jazz look like moving forward. This special bonus episode of Locked on Jazz reacting to the trade for you is brought to you in part by TurboTax today. TurboTax. Tax season is here right now, and right now it's time to not let taxes take over your life. Instead, tax season doesn't have to take over your life. Use TurboTax is making it easier than ever for you just to hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you. Trusted local expert, start to finish without stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person, connect online to handle things from W-2s to self-employment forms, work with you in every direction. You can upload your documents, get about your day, and get the TurboTax app. It's a huge time saver. Gives you real peace of mind knowing an expert is handling it. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If a tax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate. Get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. It's the final Sunday of football coming your direction with FanDuel this weekend. Make sure you get involved, get in the deal. All sorts of great deals happening for you right now. That is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure you are right in the middle of it with special offer just in time for the biggest game. Whether you're backing your favorite, riding the underdog, or building one last same-day parlay, it is all there for you. This is where predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every snap feels bigger. It's a perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting. Kick off the whistle. It's a new customer. You just bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, the season is over. Last call for football on FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the Super Bowl 60, FanDuel.com to get started. And today's show is also brought to you by Indeed. The bonus episode special edition of Locked On is also brought to you by Indeed. Hiring isn't just about finding someone willing to take the job. It's about finding the right person with the right background who can actually help with your business move forward. And if you want candidates who match what you're looking for, Indeed sponsored jobs is the move, because Indeed, instead of hoping the right person stumbles across the post, Indeed helps you match with quality opponents, boost your job listings for people who fit the special criteria. If you're hiring, don't just want someone who can help. You want someone with real experience who can jump right in. That's what you look for with Indeed. Get specific target exactly that you need. Here's a stat for you. In the last minute, I've been talking to you. Companies like yours have hired 27 hires on Indeed, according to the Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time in interviewing candidates. Well, you check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Right now, listeners of this show get a $75 sponsored job credit. Help you get the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Hiring, do it the right way. Do it with Indeed. So what do the Utah Jazz look like going forward now? You have an incredibly long team. I think the likely starting lineup on opening day next year is Keyonte George, Ace Bailey, Lauri Markkanen, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Walker Kessler, if all the reports are accurate. That is an incredibly long basketball team. It does not have a lot of ball handling. That's the one thing I would say about that group. For a team like Will Hardy's that likes to move, pass, and do a lot of things, that does not have an awful lot of ball handling in its lineup. You then have a bench, hopefully, of a draft pick this year. And now I think the other thing that's really valuable for Isaiah Collier, Bryce Sensabaugh, to Kyle Filipowski, they now have got to figure out their role probably as a bench player. The Jazz also got John Conchor on this deal. I think Conchor, Jock Landale, and Vince Williams are more just because you got to equalize rosters. But Conchor's a good player, decent shooter, adult in the room. Jock Landale may be a very decent backup center if you need one next year, depending what you're doing. Particularly, you probably don't want to spend a lot of money on your backup center next year because of the fact that Jaren Jackson Jr. and Walker Kessler are going to combine for at least 40, 45 of those center minutes. I would guess that you're going to bounce Jaren Jackson between the two of those positions and use him in that fashion. So you now begin to just piece a roster together. Who do you want as a backup point guard? How do you want these things? It all seems to come together. It's amazing how when you add a two-time All-Star, two-time block champion, three-time All-Defensive Player, Defensive Player of the Year, how it can all suddenly starts to fit much differently than it did before. For those of you that are not super familiar with Jaren Jackson, the last 2 years he's averaged 22 points a game. This year he dropped off to 19. He just did not fit in what they were doing as a team, frankly. He was the Defensive Player of the Year in 22-23 when playing next to Steven Adams. He was a All-Star last year. Has finished in the top 10 Defensive Player of the Year 3 times, 2-time All-Star and All-Defensive Team 3 times, I just mentioned. Last year he was second team All-Defense, first All-Team. He's led the NBA in blocks twice. And then it dropped off dramatically. He's a much better shot blocker if he's playing the 4 than if he's playing the 5. And so when he goes and plays the 5, that's when he's able to get opportunities and get those plays for you. So there's a quick summary, Jaren Jackson. That's where we are with this. Thanks for tuning in to this quick bonus episode. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll have more for you. Ron and I will be with you after the ball game as well as the Jazz get ready for the Indiana Pacers in a lineup where there's not a lot of guys playing in this one tonight on either side. Thanks very much. Jazz rebuild in the rear view mirror starting next year. We move forward.